Thumbs up, thumbs up. Yeah, the Lawyer Henson show is rocking today. Oh yeah, we're rocking today. And we have a lot of things to talk about today. Um, R. Kelly's bogus racketeering trial in New York. That's on the way. And then they were saying, according to TMZ, that when R. Kelly had found out that Azriel Clary is going to testify against him, he fainted. Yeah, he fainted when he found out that um, Azriel Clary, one of his former girlfriends, is going to testify against him. We also going to be talking about Brother Polight and his recent arrest in Miami. And of course, we're going to also talk about Tariq Nasheed's Hidden History Museum. What can we expect from the History Museum? Okay, so that's what the show will be about today. Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Um, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. So let's get started. Let's talk first about the Hidden Museum. I actually donated to the History Museum. I actually donated also to Dr. Umar Johnson's school, which I still have some faith that will come somewhat. It will still come to be in fruition. That it will basically be a school, because I wanted to see it. We've seen some pictures, of course, that he purchased some two schools. They said we don't know how. I don't know how true it is, but I see them in the hallway, and I was like what he was saying regarding the school, and when he had the cameras inside the school, looking inside, and I said, okay, he's making progress on the school. So, of course, I had reached into my checkbook and I had, donated to the school because he said there was some progress and he needed more money. So, you know, being an advocate of black, power and all that, you know, whether it be for the education of our children or whether it be for black people in general, I'm all for that. So, the Hidden History Museum um, can be something historic. And oftentimes we get caught up into thinking that we could basically um, get people to want to know and understand our history. And a lot in this country, in this society, our history has been hidden from us. So a lot of times that history has been put in the back burner over other people's history, over European history, Chinese history, um, other types of histories in which they really basically try to say that black people um, really don't have no history. Every time you talk about black people history, well, you're talking about Dr. King and you're talking about the civil rights movement and whatnot. But as Tariq Nasheed has described for his hidden history museum, there will be history about the first black inventors, that black folks invented a lot of things that we basically are not privy to. So the History Museum also talk about our master's teachers like Dr. John Henry Clark and Amos Wilson. Basically talks about the history of California and Crenshaw and other places. But that's where the History Museum is going to be in California on Crenshaw. when I went to Los Angeles last month, I've actually visited the street of Crenshaw. I found it to be a remarkable street of black progress and black businesses. And I understood where that, a bunch of people and raised high and purchased the mall, but the owners were so racist that they basically sold the mall to some Russian guy. So you can see why white supremacy is always basically undermining us. You can see why that is. Okay. But we wish them luck on the History Museum. We think that the History Museum is something that could basically be, um, it can be a phenomenon where, we have a good time and learn more about what we didn't learn. We have a lot of historians, hopefully, and a lot of people that will support. And he did meet his goal. And Dr. Umar Johnson, who congratulated him as well on reaching his $1 million goal, and that he basically, we can see if the museum transpire and how it would transpire and how everything will work out. So um, I'm really, really excited about that. So let's get into now the R. Kelly trial. As you know, that he's have a trial in New York that's going on. I think it is now, where the government is claiming that he is a member of a criminal enterprise. We've seen, of course, that the government has been in certain states using black men who are basically having multiple relationships with women. We're seeing they turning these issues into what they claim to be racketeering cases, and unfortunately, it really shows you how the hatred of them wanting you basically to have more than one wife or more than one girlfriend. That hatred basically turned into a so-called criminal enterprise in which they're using this RICO law out of proportion. There's nobody who, in New York specifically, or nobody who's been really charged with this outside mobsters, because you typically basically charge people in a racketeering or use this RICO law, for instance, for mobsters. So that means a category of people. But what they're trying to do is they want black people also, specifically black men, to be basically criminalized with this law so they can have more, uh, case law on the books so that they can argue in these courts. And that's one of the reasons why you see R. Kelly right now facing a trial. Um, R. Kelly fainted in court when Azriel Clary vows to testify. According to TMZ, he was like, "Help me." Um, he's losing a lot of his. He's losing um, hope in this jail. How that you can charge a person for something that really people agreed to, and what is going on is they're using this so-called RICO law on him, like I said, that they use to convict mobsters. They're to run a RICO law, or I'm sorry, run an organization without there being an enterprise to run. He cannot run a RICO, I mean, like a enterprise, a criminal enterprise alone. That he has to have handlers, in which they basically have not brought his handlers to justice, but brought only him to justice. And the basics of the RICO law, the racketeering, and all of this is based upon mob control. So the government has moved away from prosecuting mobsters to prosecuting individuals with this law. Um, so this racketeering case against R. Kelly, there's no evidence that he violated any of these rules. This is a state law, and like for instance, in New York, his the state law there is which they claim to have venue, don't have really no precedent of why they brought these bias cases. And one of the things that the white media keep on saying is, "Hey, you all, how can every when we talk there about um, R. Kelly, the white media likes to put out its black commentary, especially its black female commentary at a time, because that's how they do business." Um, this law that they're using against R. Kelly, like I said, is used for gangsters, used for big time mobsters. But they want to make an example, of course, out of a black man so they can have some type of, like I said earlier, some type of case law to reference to. Nobody's never been tried as far as New York with this law here. So R. Kelly had fainted in court, and what they were saying was is that, like I said, his former girlfriend going to testify against him, which is very unfortunate because we see these women when the money ran out. These women was no longer wanting to participate with him. When the money ran out, they are now uh, is saying that he victimized them. So you have a situation where you have people like Geronda Pace, for instance, who showed up with her mother at trial and said that R. Kelly forced her and another girl in a threesome. These types of cases is only against people having sexual relationships because the white supremacists also like to weaponize sex. Neely Fuller about a lot of his what he calls his area of non-areas of activity. He speak on sex as well, and he says that the government and the white supremacists have to weaponize sexual relationships. You understand? And that's the reason why, of course, when you use these types of mob laws against individuals, the problem is that the jury gets very much miseducated into thinking that the judge really is telling the definition of the law. And while the situation may be damning and it may be even some truth to it, the bottom line is that there's no law of abuse here. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to undermine the rights of black men. Of course, I told you that even though, and despite the fact I say that this is black men's fault because we rely so heavily on this system, so that's the reason why we are basically facing these types of consequences. Now, keep in mind, you must recognize that we had only one white male in Hollywood under the so called Me Too movement who went to jail, and that was Harvey Weinstein. We didn't have Munez, the former CEO, chairman of CBS, going to jail. And according to sources, they faked the death of Jeffrey Epstein. And they basically did a number on Cuba Gooding Jr. His situation was misdemeanor as well. they did a nut job, of course, on other black men, like, of course, Bill Cosby, and which a situation where they was not supposed to take him to trial, but they did anyway. So you see this hit piece done on black men, Tevin Smiley, another one, and they're trying to go after a lot of people. They were trying to go after Ti for a minute there, and I don't know if they are still after him as well, but they tried to go after him. What they're trying to do is they're trying to use black men now as a way that they can use this RICO law and this racketeering law, and so they don't have to go after white men who engage in even more severe practices. We we talked about um, R. Kelly's cases before, but we didn't on Facebook, but we didn't do it on YouTube. And if we did, if you go back and look at some commentary that we did, we probably didn't really get into it. But R. Kelly basically did not break any law here, as in other cases as well. He did it, this is double jeopardy in many ways. But see, you have the white media who basically like to say, well, all of these girls can't be lying, all of these women cannot be lying, and they said the same thing in Bill Cosby case, right? Well, if you basically have all of these women who is represented by the same attorney. They go and meet with the attorneys so that the attorneys can tell them what to say in court. So they don't have to meet each other. They basically meet each other when they go into the offices of the attorneys, and the offices of attorneys will lie. And that's what happened, of course, with my case in Henderson versus U.S. Securities. You had these two female attorneys peppering them, their clients to lie. You know, so we know that it happens. So as black men, we basically get charged. We're the first to get charged in this society. And like I said, this is our fault though, because we basically thought that this society is going to do us justice, and it's not. Um, so R. Kelly is facing a allegation that he ran a criminal enterprise, right? And in the criminal enterprise, they're claiming that he basically tied people up, had them in cults. They're claiming that he wouldn't let them eat, stuff like that. So they're using certain types of instances that basically do not play out. See, the white supremacists are desperate. They know how to lie, manipulate, and then here come the white media trying to get people to believe that they really have real tangible evidence. They said they did the same thing with Bill Cosby. They try to get people to say, "Oh, it's over 50 or 60 accusers, blah 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 blah," and all of them, most of them was who came forward was represented by Gloria Allred, who's known as an MLM's chasing attorney. In R. Kelly's racketeering case, and we broke down the evidence into the case. We broke down the fact that there's no evidence that he engaged in any kind of racketeering situation. I think it was one or two actors, of white male actors who transported young girls, um, over state lines. There was people who said back in the days that Elvis, he had a young girlfriend. He was, you know, transporting her back and forth as well. And yet the white man be escaping justice. There has been so many white men who has been accused, who has been doing crimes, but the white media and the police, as you know, they basically they pick and choose so-called crimes that black men do over white men. Now, here's the thing: R. Kelly's case does not add up to any kind of racketeering. There's no evidence of violations of racketeering. Not even a RICO law has been violated because like I said, they're using a mob style law against him. And when the so-called victims are saying, well, he wouldn't let me at the hotel to eat. Excuse me. These people had cell phones, and instead of calling the police, they were calling each other. For instance, you had Asante McGee, for instance, who's saying that she had to do what she described as disparaging things, and she went. I mean, she had to do. It was very wrong or whatever. But basically, she had her own daughter and her boyfriend saying that she would come home with Gucci bags. She would come home with all kinds of things, and it was a money grab for her because she was with a celebrity. And so they let these producers seek them out to do this foolish and this embellished documentary on lies. And then that was where Kim Fox basically got all this bull crap. And of course, like I said, when a black person is in office, they need permission to arrest a white person. That's the reason why Kim Fox could not go after a lot of white men who have been engaging in crimes in Chicago. She knows better. She knows that she's not going to have her job if she basically went after white men. Here's the issue here. They basically is doing double jeopardy. They're basically using a different law, but they're also basically describing the same events in a 2007 trial. Then, like I said, they had Gerada Pace, who basically admitted that she lied about her name. Okay? It is clearly stated in the law that if these people lie, that's a defense. It was said that Aaliyah lied about her age to marry R. Kelly. Okay? No, everybody is painting this man to be a monster, but they're not saying what these women are doing to really get with him to get his money. So, Azriel Clary and her family, according to TMZ and other sources, they said that they've been threatened. And they've been threatened based upon the fact and the idea that they know that they are lying. They know that there's no evidence against R. Kelly, just like there was no evidence against Bill Cosby, just like there was no evidence against Tevin Smiley, just like there was no evidence against Cuba Gooding Jr. and all the other black men who the white media has been out here trying to sabotage. You see. So we have a lot of things here to say about the R. Kelly's case. In fact, the idea of even arresting him for bogus charges, that shows you how these people will apply the law. Okay? And that's very dangerous. Now, we're not going to stay on here that long, and we're just going to get to the point because the problem is that if this is not only attack up on R. Kelly, okay, this was not about Bill Cosby last month or so when he got off. It wasn't about Bill Cosby. This is attack on black men. And as black men everywhere in America, we have to look at it as that as at like that. We have to look at it at that way because if we don't, we begin to miss the important information that we need to basically utilize and understand so that we know what the white supremacists are up to. Basically, they're using this because nobody has ever been an individual um, have not really been convicted of it. And like I said, and like I will continue to say and repeat myself, only mob bosses and everybody who was with the mob have been have been using this law, and yet white people know that the laws into which they is supposed to enforce are only used against black men and us. And why is it that we have these laws sitting on the books that really don't really uh, you know it's only like I said it's really racially applied. Okay, so we have to understand that this, like I said, this attack is not only against us, it's against against R. Kelly, it's against us as black men. And that's the reason why I'm upset with Azrael father and Jaslyn uh, Azrael father and Savage family, because they know the hell that black men and women go through in America, and yet they want to just bury this man. But like I said, it's bigger than R. Kelly. We have to understand that we're not basically feel good just because we're getting some attention from white daddy and white mommy. Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. YouTube has been really, they've been really messing with my internet connection, man. They've been on, they've been on me like it ain't nothing. My YouTube channel has been flagged. They have basically tried to have strike me with a warning. And what they, what like I said, what they're like in my last commentary, man, go back and listen to that. I really break down why these people at ScrewTube and all these other platforms, them violating your community, your the rights as far as a free speech, man, they could pay. But like I said, I don't recommend that you take them to court individually. We have to do class actions as far as black people. Okay. And R. Kelly's, going deep into the case, R. Kelly's former tour manager testifies at trial as well. And the details about his marriage to Aaliyah came up, which, like I said, all of this stuff is just, it has to do law. It's basically like, it's basically tying him to uh, these these uh, uh, these instances back way before back then. See, like I said, the white press, the white media, and the government here, when they prosecute, they have to basically find old stuff on black men to basically arrest us on. Let's see. So we're going to basically get into it. R. Kelly, former tour manager, was forced to testify, said the singer got 15-year-old Aaliyah pregnant. Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. August the 20th, 21, which is 2 days ago. The manager said he bribed an official for a fake ID so Kelly could marry the teen. Demetrius Smith tried to plead the fifth but was ordered to take the stand. Now, remember, I think Demetrius Smith was the one who they tried to put the silhouette in when they did the docu-series. Remember him? Hmm. So let's look at it. Demetrius Smith, R. Kelly's former tour manager, was ordered to take the stand Friday to tell jurors about the night the singer learned he had gotten 15-year-old Aaliyah pregnant. Mm. Smith, who was started working with Kelly in the 80s when he was performing at the talent shows and subway stations, tried to assert his Fifth Amendment privilege not to self incriminate, but was granted immunity from prosecution and ordered on Friday to testify against the singer. Now, notice here's a question. See, let's stop right there. This racketeering situation, it's already turned apart. You understand? Because if you're giving a person immunity that was a part of his camp, remember, like I said, they're using this racketeering case like R. Kelly as a boss, and they're claiming that he led an enterprise. But look at all of the people who they're giving immunity to. They're giving immunity to people who was with him since day one and saying that he did all these things, but they're not really mentioning anything that's damaging. There's no evidence against him here. It goes on to say that Kelly is on trial for a long list of alleged crimes, which are all false, including charges bribe government official to obtain a fake ID so that he could take Aaliyah as his child bride, which the statutes of limitations have ran out on it. They're bringing up charges where the statutes of limitations has already ran out. They're bringing up charges that doesn't even apply. You understand what I'm saying? These people are so desperate, man, to get black men in jail because, like I said, it's a way to undermine all the white men who are out here committing crimes. It says that the government official to obtain a fake ID so he could take Aaliyah as his child bride. Smith reluctantly admitted that he was the man who found and paid the official, a welfare office employee, for the ID so Kelly could marry Aaliyah and avoid prosecution for having sex with the minor. Kelly denies any wrongdoing. Throughout his time on the stand, Smith pushed back at the prosecution questioning. He said he didn't want to be there and that he was uncomfortable talking about Aaliyah without her parents there. I felt like I'm on trial for Aaliyah. Shit, he said at one point. Judge Ann Donnelly insisted he answered, and Smith shared details about the illegal relationship between young Aaliyah and Kelly. It is illegal for an adult to have sex with a 15-year-old in Michigan and in Illinois. Smith said he and Kelly met Aaliyah through her uncle, Barry Hankerson, who was also Kelly's manager. Kelly and Smith flew into Aaliyah's home to Detroit in 1992 to listen to her sing at her uncle's request. The meeting went well, Smith said, describing Aaliyah's voice as an angelic. angelic. Kelly then began writing and producing her music. Smith first told the court Friday that Kelly time with Aaliyah, including when Kelly asked to be alone with her, was all about her music. But then the prosecution pressed him on the issue, showing him his prior grand jury testimony. See, they're basically this is a repeat. This is double jeopardy. They're using everything that happened that they got wrong in 2007. They're going to do that here. They're going to do that in Illinois. They're going to do that in all of the cases. This is a state. This is a a state case. So they basically usher in venue in New York. Goes on to say that Smith said he believed Kelly when he denied that was the case. But Smith said he believed Kelly when he denied that that was the case. But then one night, in the middle of the performance in Orlando in August of 1994, Kelly made him immediately arrange for travel back to the home in Chicago. Aaliyah, in trouble, man. We need to get home, Smith testified that Kelly told him that night. Smith testified at first Kelly didn't share any details about what was wrong with Aaliyah, but ordered him to book a round the trip flight. Smith said he wanted to call Henderson to see what was going on with Aaliyah, but was told not to after the show. Kelly, Smith, and other employees boarded a plane to Chicago, and the singer cried a lot, admitting to Smith that Aaliyah was pregnant, he testified. That was shocked. Uh, that was a shock, Smith told the court. Kelly told Smith that this other manager, Darrell McDavid, was making arrangement for the singer to marry the teenager to protect himself, to protect Aaliyah, Smith testified. And when asked what Kelly should be protecting himself against, Smith responded, "Shit, jail, I guess." When the plane landed in Chicago, Smith said he urged Kelly not to try and marry the teenager. She was too young. He was confused, Smith recalled. But then Kelly started asking Smith whose side he was on, and the tour manager started to feel like he was being pushed out of the singer's life. To avoid losing his place in Kelly, to get the teenager a fake ID that made her look old enough to legally marry the singer. He then went to the local welfare office and offered a woman 500 to make her an ID. The group then went to nearby FedEx or a similar shipping store and had an associate make the teen a fake employee ID as backup before Kelly and Aaliyah went to Cook County Clerk's office to apply for a marriage license. The clerk accepted the ID, and the group went back to the hotel suite where a minister performed a ceremony to marry them, Smith said. A marriage license shown to the jury Friday indicated that they wed on August the 31st, 1994. Aaliyah's age was listed as 18, 3 years older than her actual age. Aaliyah's underage marriage to Kelly was annulled on February 1995 by her parents. She died 6 years later at 22 in a plane crash off the Bahamas. Court went into recess for the weekend at 5:30 p.m., and the prosecution plans to continue questioning Smith Monday morning. Kelly's trial is expected to last 4 weeks. Okay? And then they have, if you're a survivor of sexual assault, blah, 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 blah. Folks, this is a crazy, crazy situation. You see, and this happens a lot in the music industry. It happens when these white executives get mad at black stars or singers and rappers. That's the reason why I said that the music industry is very, very dangerous. And they will kill people. They will pay, like, I think it's somebody who paid to have Aaliyah and them killed when she was over there in the Bahamas. Okay? So the music industry, they want to keep their money. They're very, very greedy. You understand? So we knew that everybody knew about the Aaliyah situation, where he said he married her at 15, and she was actually, well, they said that she married him, and lied. They lied and said that she was 18 and she was 15, of course. So they're trying to use that in the RICO trial. That was brought up in his 2007 trial. Now, Geronda Pace and this other girl, I forget her name. It's gonna come to me here in a minute. Um, they basically showed up. Well, one of them showed. Geronda Pace showed up at the trial. Geronda Pace, in her book, came all the time over to the studio. Lisa Van Allen, Lisa Van Allen, at the age of 17, was always at R. Kelly's studio, and they had witnessed his male entourage had witnessed that she would walk around in her underwear in the studio at the age of 17, which the age of consent in Illinois is 17. That's not my law. That's what the law is, right? So they're doing a redo because they are upset. Even the music industry, when you don't want to basically do something that they want, they work with these government officials. They work with the police. Like I told y'all about Irv Gotti and Abraham Prince, and I think it was, I forget the other person, who all three of them, they tried to set up a distribution, um, set up their own distribution company. Remember the FBI said, "No, you niggas can't do that. You niggas better join a label, set up your own, distribution company." No, you're not gonna do that. You see, so they basically know that they stop black people from making progress, right? But Lisa Van Allen and Kitty Jones and Asante McGee and most of all of R. Kelly's accusers, they were living a lifestyle like, these women that live, that have these husbands who are actors, who are major, movie stars and stuff, and they were just dumped. There's no law that says I have to treat you right in a relationship. And so they're using this, what they're claiming to be abuse, that does not add up to violation of law. It does not it's no law here that has been violated. But yet they want to basically use the RICO law so that they can just pin something on somebody. You understand? So I'm interested to learn what Azriel Clary is going to say when she's called to testify. She basically is another one. When her money run out with all these families. In fact, I told y'all that I actually sat down and I asked Jocelyn Savage father. He basically worked at this local rental car place, and I asked him when I went there to try to get a rental car. I said, "Listen," I said, "man, what you said about this man is what you said about this man is true. How is this true? How do he have your daughter? You understand? How do he have your daughter hostage?" I said and asked him that. Then um, he pulled out payrolls sheets where he was actually getting money and first with on payroll sheet from R. Kelly, or he was getting under the payrolls and stuff. So they were making money off of R. Kelly, and the person who wrote the checks will pay the parents as long as R. Kelly got to keep their daughters there. You understand? And I sat down there and I asked him, "Dude," I said, "Is this true? What that this man got your girls?" And when I looked at the money on those payroll sheets that he showed me, I knew that as him working as a car rental person, he don't make that much money there. Then another guy came on there and said, "Dude used to work for Parts Cars, which is a low end car buying location. Don't make that much money there either." So the question was, where was Mr. Savage getting that money? And I believe that he was getting paid by R. Kelly's people and handlers so that he can keep that relationship going with the daughter. See, it was a situation. As long as I have your daughter, and I mean, as long as you pay me, then you can keep my daughter. So they were already like pimping them as out. Azriel stayed with R. Kelly first. She was basically there. I think at 16 years old, I think it was. And like I said, when the money ran out, it's like now you're going back to your parents' home because you don't have no support system no more. Because your parents basically wasted all of your years on trying to get something to make something for yourself that you relied up on a sugar daddy where you can now what do they have to do for you? What can they do as far if that's concerned? See, this is the type of things in the games that they were playing. See, this is a repeat from the 2007 trial. Lisa Van Allen, who lied in her book, and then on top of that, she basically, like I said, was the one who showed up at his 2007 trial with her boyfriend who actually was murdered. They basically tried to extort money from R. Kelly. A lot of these people, that's all they're in the business for is extorting money from him. Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. So when her boyfriend tried to extort money from him, unfortunately, that karma came back on him. The Savages did the same thing, and so did the Clarys. The Clarys basically said, "Oh man, this is a good opportunity for me to have money here." So all of them, so they were all making hundreds and thousands of dollars, all because they basically allowed their daughters to use it. And when people start going in, understanding what the game plan was, then that's what was going on. So this docu series that came on and lied about R. Kelly was telling them to stay in these hotels, and they were just staying in the hotels, and he was saying that somebody would come and get you. So he provided them with the hotel. He provided them, with accommodation, and they tried to make it appear as if they were basically couldn't leave, couldn't go out, which is a lie. Okay, the family was blowing everything out of proportion, as you remember, and said that they couldn't go nowhere. The government has no case. There's no evidence that he ran a criminal enterprise. This is theater, man. And the white media is all over this, like they got really evidence. They are all over this like there is real evidence here. And like I said, I support victims of sexual assault, women of sexual assault, but this ain't it. All of these women were very vulnerable, and they were living luxury lifestyles. And when they wasn't no more, then they start getting upset. There's no law that says I have to treat you right in a relationship. You understand? And that's exactly what's going on here. They're basically now using this man not to basically get him because of what they're claiming that he ran enterprise. Is that white supremacists, they're against us having multiple girlfriends. They don't like that at all, because what that do is if you get them pregnant, then hell, that creates and maintain a black race. You know, so that is one of the issues there. Another issue I want to pick up, and then we'll get on to Brother Polight, is the fact that R. Kelly himself basically couldn't read. So a lot of the things that his manager was doing with his money, he was writing the checks, and then he was writing himself checks. That's the reason why he was basically broke. because he couldn't read information. He was not a person who could read. And man, I seen his wife on the news trying to garner all this attention. And I'm like, woman, you've been with this man, had 3 kids by him, and now you up there in front of white folks talking about he was trying to kill you. I was like, I said, wow. I said, this is crazy, man. You know, and like I said, I support black women a lot, but this is crazy. This man had 3 kids by you, and yet you're saying now all of a sudden that you fear for your life, but you didn't fear that he would kill your kids. It's like, come on. You see how this stirs for attention in our community. These hood rats and their thirst for attention. That basically is an issue in our community. It's a huge issue, in our community. So thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. All right, so moving on. Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. So people were asking me about this issue with I was like, whoa, brother Polight, my man. Um, Man, we hear a lot of weird stuff in Florida, man. We hear so much weird stuff in Florida. Brother Polight is in Miami, and he's with his girlfriend and his girlfriend's daughter. Okay? He's there in Miami, and he's there, like I said, with the girlfriend and his girlfriend's daughter. And the internet, once he got arrested, exploded. It's like, Brother Polight, accused of rape. Brother Polight got arrested. Blah, 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 this. Blah, 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 that. Brother Polight. Oh, he's in trouble. Man, I told you about these fake conscious people. Brother Polight, blah, 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 blah. Okay? That's what they were saying about him. Now, my thing about it is the only thing that I'm upset with him is that while he says that his attorneys are telling him to keep quiet, nobody can tell you not to say whether or not that you did this or not. You understand? If I'm not guilty, I know he said, dude, I'm not no weirdo. I know he said that. But dude, if you're not guilty, every time you are on YouTube, you should be saying that. You understand? Because what made Eddie Long guilty and what made people know that he was guilty is because he never, and Eddie Griffin said it best. He said what? He never said he didn't do it. So all Brother Polight said is, hey, I'm not no weirdo. Nobody's calling you a weirdo. Dude, you basically are accused of something like this. Dude, you don't have to say, you can keep quiet as your attorneys instructed you to, but you're still out here talking. So the thing about it is at least you'll be out here saying, I didn't do it. You understand? If I know that I'm innocent, there's no way that I'll be out here just saying I'm not a weirdo. And I know that YouTube and all y'all got y'all are out there, y'all got y'all opinions or whatever. Now, this whole thing came to light because of Tasha K. Now, a lot of people know that Tasha K. Some brothers like her, some people don't. Some black men don't like her because she only exposed black men. Let's just keep it real. She didn't go after Jeffrey Epstein, of course, when he did something. She didn't talk about Harvey Weinstein, but she's kind of like these YouTube certain women like Oprah. So she's kind of like a YouTube Oprah, a YouTube Gail King, a YouTube, what's this one with the big old nose that we call KRS2? in the black community. What's that basically got the Me Too movement going? Uh, Tarana Birch, yeah. So she's kind of like an undercover, loudmouth Tarana Burke. That's what Tasha K is. And I respect her for basically calling out any man who sexually assault a young girl. I respect that. However, there's a difference between what Brother Polight is being accused of than what Dr. Malachi York was found guilty of. Remember, when Malachi York had this compound where saying the evidence when the feds came in, it was just there. It was just out in the open, and we're like, dude, Malachi York, what are you doing? They're using this against you. Why would you basically see? You can't believe in this propaganda under white supremacy. You're still in global white supremacy, so you're not going to be able to use the same kind of things that they use in an Eastern land. Yes, dating a girl in an Eastern country is perfectly legal, right? So, and we know that our people are being snatched up at 13, 14. Our women been snatched up 13, 14, 15 in all these missing persons cases. But yet we have a government that does not basically enforce that rule because they're retired police officers. So the government gets to do a lot of shit, but we can't. But here's the thing. We shouldn't be one to do this though. Okay? At all because it's immoral and it's illegal. But what we're saying here is that Brother Polite case is different from Dr. Malachi York's. Okay? Let's look at Dr. Malachi York and I'll come back to Brother Polite. It says here that Malachi York, the Nuwambian nation, York was convicted in 2004 of child molestation and violations of Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organization Act. Now they're using that same thing on R. Kelly. Okay, that act right trying to get a lot of women who have multiple sexual relationship with girls or women. They're trying to use their act. Now, we all know that in Illinois, the age of consent is 17 when we go back to R. Kelly's case. But Malachi York, he had a compound where the evidence of these young girls or whatever was there. It was right in their face. So there was no way for him to lie about it. There was no way for him to say, hey, I did not do this. Okay. He is currently serving 135 years sentence, okay, in the morgues. And I really haven't finished my study on the morgues, but I didn't even know that they basically, I don't think they believe, and I'm not sure, that dating young girls is appropriate. Anyway, but he was convicted and received 135 years in prison for a child molestation in 2004. In other words, he is still life in prison without the possibility of parole. So that means he's going to die in prison. And it became so severe. It's not just this one child. There was multiple. They said. So that's why Malachi York was given that particular sentence. Okay. In the case with Brother Polite, it is not the same charge. Okay. You got people on YouTube saying, oh, he was charged with rape. No, he was not. He was charged with what they call sexual battery, which, in other words, let's look at what they were saying. They said, okay, they found DNA evidence. Some people said it was semen. They said that he took the 14-year-old girl because her and the mom was having some issues there, and I think he said he took her to a hotel to an after party, right? That's what brother they said Brother Polight did. So when Brother Polight takes the girl to the hotel, I mean to the club is closed, so they go to a hotel. They said that the young girl had swelling on her face. They said that the young girl had fainted when he put his mouth down at her trying to, make her throw up because he had given her alcohol or whatever and she had fainted. Okay, those details is a violation of the law. Okay, now here's the thing: they did not arrest him for rape. Okay, and the reason why they didn't arrest him for rape is because when they did the DNA, when she did the rape kit, it came back that there was no sexual intercourse with the child. Okay, so he was not accused of rape. What they're saying is that they have DNA on the shirt. Okay, and then the police were saying that, the mom is saying that, the little girl is saying that. Those are accusations that were on the police report, which doesn't still mean it's true. So here's the thing. And the reason why I say that is because if he had sexual intercourse with her, that means that they could charge him with rape. But what did they charge him with? They charged him with sexual battery and then he got a bond, right? And the reason why he got a bond is because they charged him with saying, okay, you touched a young girl who's 14 on the buttocks. You touched her on her breasts. You're not supposed to do that. I'm going to charge you with sexual battery. See, they couldn't charge him with rape because he only had DNA on the shirt. So what they're saying is, what she said is that you touched her on the breast, you touched her on the buttocks, but there's no semen in her vagina. I don't know if they did a map swab or whatever. So now they have to figure out, where did the semen come from? It could come from him, right? But there's no evidence that he basically had sex with her. Okay? That's the evidence. And now the defense attorney is right to say, wait a minute now. Now it's a question as to where you get the DNA from. If he basically had sex with her, it would have been, unless he used a condom, it would have been, okay, yeah, you did this, dude. Well, you did this. But they still don't have no evidence that he penetrated her. So the issue would be is where does semen come from? Okay. But I would like to see where they're going to basically get around the semen situation if that's true. Okay. If it's true, then yes, at some point something happened there, right? But if that was the case, then they would have charged him with rape and not sexual battery. You see, like I said, they did a rape kit on. He didn't have sex with her. So all they have is what they're claiming is semen. And another thing is that they're saying that it's highly suspicious for him to have the daughter of his girlfriend by themselves. Now I agree with that, you know, and like I said, as black men, we got to be very careful, and when we're dating women with children, because any accusation could basically pop up anywhere. We don't know. And so, yes, if he's guilty of this, yeah, he should go to jail, man. But the thing about it is that, man, I didn't think that that would happen to Brother Polight because he was always into his wives. So to have the daughter to come out and say it, and then to have Sinetta say, make reference to it like a year, I think so ago, or several months ago, it was kind of suspicious. We were like, wait a minute, man, what's going on with Brother Polight here, man? It's kind of suspicious, my brother. But the thing about it, what is hurting this man is that all of this, the commentary, dude, that you're doing, you're not saying that you didn't do it. All you're saying is, "Hey, I'm not a weirdo," and blah blah blah. Nobody care about you being a weirdo, dude. What are you doing here? You're supposed to be saying, even though that my attorneys instructed me not to say anything about this case, what I can say is that this girl is lying. I didn't do it. Point blank simple. And basically, he just said, I'm not no weirdo. And everybody on YouTube, y'all got y'all own opinion. And YouTube court, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's YouTube court. When the accusations like that comes out, you know how YouTube is. They're going to basically ride that so they can get views. You know how YouTube, black folks on YouTube is. So basically, your job, though, to get out of this mess is to say, dude, I did not do this. Understand? But when people said that he was charged with rape, he was not charged with rape. They charged him, like I said, the same thing, kind of with what they charged Tupac with, right? Remember, old girl had accused him of touching her on the butt, of really no proof that that was sexual orientation. He was charged though with the touching of the buttocks. Okay. Um, Let me take that back. Well, she performed oral sex according to somebody on the dance floor, and then she had went to the hotel, and then that's where she also said that she got raped again, and by these guys. So, in the situation with the Tupac situation, again, he was the only one charged because him being a celebrity. And that's what they're doing. They're going after celebrities, these police officers, these district attorneys, because it elevates them in their careers, in their position. It helps them to get reelected, and then they can go out and argue that, hey, I go after tough criminals. That's why they do this. We have to understand that. That's why they do that. They basically like to become celebrity prosecutors. And it helps them if they can get a high profile case where they can get a guilty verdict. In their mind, that's a good way to seek to get reelected. Okay. So, Brother Polight, if he's guilty, yes, he should go to jail, just like Dr. Malachi York did. And like I said, the conscious community. Let me speak briefly on the conscious community. Okay, as respectfully, let me speak briefly because I walk someone sometimes down the street here in Georgia, and I see brothers on the street, in the conscious community, talk about the upliftment of black people. And we, of course, Dr. Umar Johnson and Tariq Nasheed and others. Okay, the problem that we have in the conscious community is that nobody is not building anything. Everybody in the conscious community is still talking about what the truth is. It doesn't matter what basically the information that you have. What matters is, are you bringing black folks together? The conscious community is so disorganized. It is basically just really it's about you're doing the same thing that rappers do when it comes to beef. It is not really helping black folks at all. You understand? And so when you we when so it's just almost like, man, y'all brothers are no different than these rappers out here, who when y'all see each other, it's always a situation that you know what I'm saying. It's madness, man. And we're not really advancing as a people because we are stuck on that celebrity. We are stuck on the fact that we can basically be celebrity and that we like to just hear ourselves talk and people say, yeah, that's right, that's true. Man, he got all that knowledge. But as a wise man once said, just because you got knowledge, that's not really anything. These white supremacists can still put you in ovens like they did the Jews. You understand? So that's the reason why I wanted to make the podcast today. But we're going to continue with R. Kelly case. Also, we're going to continue. We're going to talk about Easy E celebrating his docu series by his daughter. We're going to talk a little bit about that coming up this next week on the Lawyer Henderson podcast show, because that's pretty much interesting, where they're talking about that he basically was mysteriously found dead and that Jerry Heller had killed him. So we're going to be going into depth in that, and I think that has some merit and truth to it. So as him being my favorite rapper, and as you know, Easy E, yeah. So as him being my favorite rapper of all time, we're going to have a discussion on his death and with this so-called HIV/AIDS crap. And I know ScrewTube is going to take the video down, so y'all will have to then, we're going to record it, the sound, so that we can also put it on other platforms along with the um, Patreon thing. Man, they are already talking about this vaccine, having some situations, but they said that the FDA is supposed to approve the Pfizer thing. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But it was ironic because the FDA had never ever approved some of the HIV/AIDS medicine. So I'm almost thinking that Dr. Fauci and all these people in the science community have paid a lot of folks off, man. They had paid a lot of people off, man. So, hey, but that's still, I don't want the video to get flagged because I know that happens every time you talk about the vaccine. But yeah, but the Lawyer Henderson Show will continue to bring you the commentary. I want to thank all my guests for tuning in. Hit that thumbs up button, like, share, and subscribe. It bring more viewers to the algorithm. And also want to talk to you about any advertisement. You can also go to advertise at cinnamon.citypictures.com. So thank you for listening to the Lawyer Henderson podcast show. Again, join me next week when we talk about my favorite rapper, Eazy-E. Talk to you later. Bye.